Hey everyone, and welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into a universal habit that, honestly, society often gets completely wrong. We're going to unpack the hidden science of your inner voice. And let me tell you, mastering this, it can quite literally unlock your brain's true potential. It's a really fascinating journey, so get comfortable, and let's just jump right in.
So, have you ever caught yourself talking when absolutely no one else was around? I mean, really think about it for a second. Every single day, you spend way more time speaking to yourself than to anyone else in your entire life. Your friends, your family, your coworkers. Literally none of them hear your voice as much as you do. Which brings up a pretty interesting question. Who exactly are you talking to? And why does your brain even need another voice when you're already completely alone? I mean, come on, we've all been there, right? Maybe you're standing in the shower, vigorously preparing for some intense argument that, let's be real, never even happens. You're plotting out every single counterpoint, delivering the absolute perfect comeback to a totally imaginary opponent, or maybe you're just randomly replaying some embarrassing moment from like 5 years ago, muttering, why did I say that?
Or maybe it's way simpler than that. You're just pacing around your house, looking for your lost keys, muttering, okay, where did I leave them? To a totally empty room. You obviously aren't expecting the room to answer back, yet you're asking the question out loud anyway. So why do we actually do this?
Well, that brings us to Section 1, the inner voice mystery.
For centuries, people firmly believed that talking to yourself was a definitive sign of madness. Even today, movies still portray it exactly that way. A character walks alone, whispering to themselves, and we're instantly supposed to assume something is terribly wrong. But modern psychology, it reveals a completely different story. Just try to close your eyes and quiet your mind for one single second. Don't think about anything. Sounds easy, right? Except it's virtually impossible. Almost instantly, thoughts just start popping up. Did I lock the front door? Wait, what's for dinner? Your brain simply refuses to stay silent. In fact, scientists estimate we experience thousands of thoughts every single day. The truth is, your brain was literally never meant to be silent.
Psychologists actually have a specific term for this whole process. They call it inner speech. And many of those thousands of thoughts actually happen as structured conversations. It's essentially this internal narrator your brain creates, functioning almost exactly like a voiceover in a movie. Basically, it's your brain thinking out loud, just without your vocal cords making a physical sound. And the really crucial thing to understand here is that this isn't a glitch. It's not some weird bug in your operating system. Inner speech is actually one of the most powerful evolutionary tools we have. Without it, core human functions like planning, learning, and decision-making would be incredibly difficult. I mean, even making a simple, everyday choice would take drastically longer if you couldn't silently deliberate it in your head first.
All right, moving on to Section 2, the science of self-talk.
Now, you might be wondering, if this conversation is happening perfectly fine inside our minds, why do we ever feel the need to actually externalize it? Well, this is where the research gets incredibly cool. When you speak out loud, researchers have discovered that hearing your own voice actually activates multiple parts of your brain simultaneously. It instantly improves your focus, and perhaps most importantly, it organizes those thousands of scattered, chaotic thoughts into a clear, linear sequence. So when you say out loud, "Where are my keys?" you're actually forcing your brain to focus entirely on that one single specific mission.
And that right there is exactly why elite performers, we're talking chess players, programmers, athletes, even world-class surgeons, they often whisper instructions to themselves during incredibly difficult tasks. They aren't just talking to nobody. They're literally giving instructions to the most powerful computer on Earth, their own brain. They are programming their focus in real time. It's wild.
Which leads us perfectly into Section 3, the second-person secret.
So what's really fascinating here is a hidden technique used by those elite performers we just talked about. It turns out the specific words you choose when you talk to yourself can actually alter your brain's physical response to stress. Just imagine you're super nervous before a huge interview. Most people will internally say, "I'm gonna fail," or "I can't do this." And when you say that, your brain hears it and instantly starts searching for evidence to prove that you're right. Your heart races, your confidence completely drops. But if you change just one single pronoun, everything shifts. Compare "I can't do this" to "you've prepared for this." Boom. You instantly transform your mindset from a panicked, frightened player into an empowered, in-control coach.
This tiny grammatical shift from I to you creates what researchers call psychological distance. It's a massive shift that physically calms the brain down and makes it way more analytical. It's actually this brilliant secret trick that so many Olympic athletes unknowingly use right before competitions to detach from their anxiety and execute under immense pressure. It is just incredibly powerful stuff.
But we do need to look at the other side of the coin in Section 4, the toxic inner critic.
Because we have to objectively examine the real danger here. If your inner voice has the power to act as this brilliant coach, it absolutely also has the power to become an incredibly toxic critic. Imagine actually saying the phrase, "you're useless," out loud. I want you to really ask yourself, would you ever look at your best friend or someone you deeply love and speak to them this way? Would you ever say those exact words to their face? Probably not, right? It would be horrific.
Or what about this one? You're a failure. Nobody even likes you. It's brutal. Yet millions of people direct these exact cruel words at themselves every single day. Psychologists call this phenomenon negative self-talk, and honestly, it is a full-blown epidemic.
Let's look at the real-world impact of this for a second, because the danger of negative self-talk isn't just that it hurts your feelings in the moment. Over time, it actively increases your stress levels, deeply damages your confidence, and traps you in these endless, exhausting cycles of anxiety. But perhaps the absolute most dangerous impact of all is that it blurs the line between imagination and reality. Because your brain doesn't always automatically separate the two. And that means the toxic stories you repeatedly tell yourself inside your head, they slowly become the reality you genuinely start to believe.
Thankfully, there's a way out, which brings us to Section 5, Rewiring Your Mind.
The good news is we do not have to be victims of our own internal monologue. That inner voice isn't your master. At the end of the day, it's just a habit. And the truly beautiful thing about habits is that they can absolutely be changed. So the next time your mind says something like, "I always mess things up," try this. Step 1, pause. Catch yourself right in the act. Then, Step 2, challenge it. Ask yourself, wait, is that actually true? Do I always mess everything up, or is my brain just kind of exaggerating right now? And finally, Step 3, replace that harsh criticism with practical, useful instruction.
So in practice, instead of the totally dead-end statement, "I'm terrible," you try saying, "Okay, what can I do better next time?" Now, just to be super clear here, this isn't about practicing fake, toxic positivity. We aren't just pretending everything is perfectly fine when it's not. Rather, you are actively training your brain to solve problems instead of just creating them. You're basically giving that incredibly powerful internal supercomputer a really useful task to execute.
So, let's bring it all together. Why do we talk to ourselves? Well, because our brain was brilliantly designed to do exactly that. That quiet voice inside your head helps you think, learn, remember, and ultimately survive. But it also reflects the reality you live in. The conversation inside your head literally shapes the person you become. So the next time you catch yourself talking alone, please never feel embarrassed. Instead, listen carefully, because that quiet voice, it's honestly the most important conversation you will ever have in your entire life.
I want to leave you with one final, kind of provocative thought today. If someone else could hear every single word your inner voice says, would they think it's your greatest supporter or your biggest enemy? Only you know the true answer to that question. But hey, if this explainer changed how you think about your own mind, do me a favor and drop the word voice down in the comments below. And if you love learning the hidden science behind everyday life just as much as I do, make sure to subscribe. Because next time, we are going to explore why your brain actually creates entirely fake memories. It's going to be a good one. Thanks so much for joining me, and I'll see you in the next one.